Hello and welcome to Northwest Indian News. I'm your host, Carissa Peapud Gobin. In the 1960s and 70s, many Native Americans were unjustly arrested for exercising their treaty rights, and many still have those convictions on their records. In 2014, the state of Washington passed House Bill 2080, which provides an opportunity to overturn those wrongful convictions. NWIN's Raven Speaker traveled to the state capitol to bring us the story.
A few years ago, a number of tribal members felt they could not fully participate in canoe journeys because fishing war felonies would deny their entry into Canada. Becoming aware of this, Washington State Senator and Tulalip tribal member John McCoy wanted to see a bill introduced to address this.
I looked into it, and there were a number of people. Most notable was Billy Frank Jr., who had a number of convictions for protecting treaty rights. So consequently, that bothered me. You know, I started talking among some of my peers in the legislature, and Representative David Sawyer said he'd like to have that bill.
Before I introduced the bill, you get people to sign on to it, so you get co-sponsors under a bill, and I wanted to be Democrat-Republican, Democrat-Republican, and get people that don't traditionally sign on to bills to understand this. I spoke with a number of members to try to make them wrap their head around, this isn't, this is not threatening to anybody. We're not, nobody was a criminal who were doing this. We were the ones who were breaking the law, breaking the treaty, and so we were the ones responsible for that.
The process to vacate convictions existed previously, but the wording of the law was too narrow. House Bill 2080 broadens the law and contains specific language addressing convictions for those exercising their treaty fishing rights.
A couple of senators said, well, we already have language that allows vacation. And I said, well, but we need to bring light. We need to bring history forward on what really happened during that era, around the Bolt decision, the 70s. So that's what this is doing. This is bringing it to light, showing that there were individuals wrongly convicted and have these felonies on their records for protecting what was theirs. That's not right.
This was probably one of the most bipartisan bills at the end of the day that I've ever introduced or passed, especially on a tribal issue. And I think when you try to work government to government, you should probably admit your mistakes. The Bolt decision was before I was born, and we still haven't gotten it right, and it bothered me. And I felt, 40 years is better late than never, and at least it's a recognition that what the state did was wrong. The time period was so tumultuous. You had different officers harassing people under all sorts of different statutes. And this bill sets up a process where if they apply and they can prove it's a treaty right, that the judge doesn't have discretion, they have to vacate the conviction. And if you're deceased, your family or your tribe can apply to have those records expunged. Everybody has a story, and they just need to tell their story and get the records expunged if they choose to do that.
2080 is correcting history. It's bringing the truth out because we can read some Washington State history books that put a different slant on really what happened during the 70s. Well, this brings the truth out. So it corrects history, and that needs to be done.
Thanks to House Bill 2080, no longer will this state view those past actions as illegal, but rather see them for what they really were, a valiant fight to defend treaty rights long denied. For Northwest Indian News, I'm your friendly neighborhood Raven Speaker saying,
Coming up next, we'll visit a cancer treatment center that is combining modern oncology medicine with traditional methods of healing.
Where we try to not just have chemotherapy and conventional treatments, but also naturopaths, acupuncturists, and hopefully under the tribal leadership, it will also have traditional healing as part of the treatment plan for our patients.
To my tribe, I'm more than a student. I'm an example that it's possible to get an education. Even when only 5% of Indians on the reservation can afford to go to college.
Who says that all good things must come to an end? That nothing lasts forever? That you can't turn the tide for good? For us, protecting nature comes so naturally. We're the tribes in Western Washington, stewards, and have been for centuries to come.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in jobs. Job-creating investments like the $350 million container terminal in Tacoma.
Puyallup Tribe through Marine View Ventures is partnering with SSA Marine to develop a 200-acre, 3-berth terminal, which at full build-out will be the largest terminal in the Pacific Northwest.
Tribal governments are investing in Washington's economy, creating jobs in many different industries. Everyone's working together to make it happen.
For thousands of years, Northwest tribes have used their knowledge of both spirituality and medicine to effectively treat illness. When the Puyallup tribe stepped in to prevent the closing of a Seattle area cancer treatment center, an opportunity opened to integrate traditional knowledge into contemporary cancer treatment. NWIN's Solana Booth has the story.
Tribal leaders, dignitaries, and invited guests celebrated the opening of the Salish Integrative Oncology Care Center, the first tribally owned cancer center in the United States.
This is an expansion of the healthcare that we already provide our members. We've had our clinic for nearly 40 years, and so this is that next step towards providing care for our community. You know, we have 4,500 members, and yet we serve a population of 25,000 Native Americans. This is opportunity to treat those folks who are suffered with one of the illest diseases out there, and that's cancer. You know, we've all lost somebody, and this is an opportunity for us to help them receive quality care and take those steps necessary to find a cure.
This is a cancer treatment center, but it's also an integrative cancer treatment program where we try to not just have chemotherapy and conventional treatments, but also naturopaths, acupuncturists, and hopefully under the tribal leadership, it will also have traditional healing as part of the treatment plan for our patients. Health isn't just about the body. If you're just treating the body, you're more of a technician. If you're treating body and spirit, then you get into the realm of healing. For a person to be truly in a good place, the spirit has to be in a good place. It isn't just about your body. And the traditional healers are very good at helping recover or heal a spirit that might be sick or damaged. I think they work together really well.
It appears to us, as those that have been involved on it from the grassroots, is that there's some type of a divine intervention that's working with us to make this happen. Because we have ran into challenges, but almost as soon as we run into them, they resolve themselves. It feels like it's destined to be here.
This is truly a statewide gift. It's owned by the Puyallups, but it's serving all Washingtonians. So it's truly a beautiful marriage of Puyallup leadership and statewide hope for the future in this fight against cancer. And we know that this is something that has touched all of our families, and it's deepest in our hearts on what we want to get done in this state. So I don't think there's a better thing you could celebrate today than the Puyallups.
In terms of Natives taking on the roles within healthcare has been significant in that they have provided much more of their own tribe's cultural appropriate services and facilities, and the manner in which they provide treatment for their people is vitally important to them, vitally important to the health of our communities, because we all want to have healthy and happy communities.
I'm so proud that they're taking another step and getting into this integrated oncology business, because that's really landmark for tribes in America. And the issue of integrated oncology care is also, cutting edge. So we're just really proud of them.
Cancer, it doesn't know no age, it doesn't know no race, and this is an opportunity to take care of our community, and we're excited to do so.
Some of us have lost loved ones, and so the real feeling and deep feeling of being able to contribute something that, you know, may make a difference in the lives of our people as we move forward, find some healing and some comfort, some treatment. That's what's motivating us. That's what moves us to go through this process each and every day.
I'd like to see this become like a regional Northwest hospital for cancer people that takes care of everybody. And I hope our research is able to be shared throughout the world, you know, if it makes sense. You know, it's all nonprofit. You know, this isn't about making money, it's about saving lives.
The first tribally owned cancer center in the U.S. will combine modern cancer treatment, care and compassion, and traditional methods of healing. For Northwest Indian News, I'm Solana Booth.
Next, we'll learn more about a satirical play that is asking serious questions about the continued use of Native American mascots.
It's important for us to laugh at ourselves, laugh at our own bigotry, our own mistakes, our own stuff. If I'm not willing to laugh off the bigotry and the racism, then what right do I have to ask someone to get over it themselves?
Watch that story and more on this episode of Northwest Indian News.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in natural resources.
The main goal of the Tulalip Forestry Program is to preserve over half of our reservation in the forestry classification.
The Tulalips manage their tribal forest lands, create jobs, and also work with the U.S. Forest Service in our national forests.
We have a very unique collaborative effort here with the Tulalip tribes to restore the landscape for future generations.
Tribal stewardship of natural resources across Washington is an investment that benefits everyone.
The suicide rate of Native Americans is 25% higher than the national rate.
Today is just another day.
The day I think about you.
The day I remember your laugh.
The day I remember your sense of humor.
Why were you so sad?
What made you hurt so much?
Why didn't you call?
Why didn't I see your signs?
Your pain may be gone,
but mine just started.
No one said life was easy.
There is help. There's hope.
Reach out to someone.
Reach out to me.
Reach out to me.
Reach out to me.
A person commits suicide every 40 seconds.
So please get help. It's worth it. Be strong and live life.
Welcome back to Northwest Indian News. With controversy continuing to surround the use of Native American mascots in professional sports, one local playwright turned to comedy to make a very serious point. Sonny Sixkiller Buys the Washington Redskins is a funny and thought-provoking story. Leandra Smith caught the show and brings us her report.
What would happen if former Husky quarterback Sonny Sixkiller, a member of the Cherokee Nation, bought the Washington Redskins? That's the premise behind the new political satire produced by Daryl Hilaire and Setting Sun Productions. Through a mix of music, drama, and comedy, the play exposes stereotypes and racism that often go unnoticed in mainstream culture.
Sonny Sixkiller Buys the Washington Redskins is a story about an ex-football player who goes home to try to make a difference for his people. He heads off to his council and to the National Congress of American Indians and ultimately to Dan Snyder to seek the ownership of the Redskins.
Well, the show starts off a comedy. You know, there's healing in that, and it's healing to bring people together with laughter.
It's important for us to laugh at ourselves, laugh at our own bigotry, our own mistakes, our own stuff. If I'm not willing to laugh off the bigotry and the racism, then what right do I have to ask someone to get over it themselves?
Offensiveness is 100% in the eye and the ear of the beholder. And if a culture, when they go back through their history, feels denied good history or good reputation or good treatment, it is time that we start talking about that.
Many of the people think that they have the right to speak on other people's behalf and say what's okay. And that in itself, to me, is an extension of racism. If a person feels like they've been stepped on, that person who stepped on has the right to say foul. And this is what happened, and this is how you stepped on me. And so for the person doing the stepping to say, no, that doesn't hurt. Obviously, you know, I respect you, and I think a lot of you. And the majority of the people don't even have to be racist, thinking that they're superior to others or whatever. You don't even need racist people for racism to exist.
I mean, even the play doesn't go into detail about the historical significance of the word Redskin because it's just too ominous. It's too wrong.
That's hurtful, that's mean, that's something that you don't want to do to a person. Make fun of the color of their skin or put them down because they're a Redskin.
You know, the Washington Redskins, Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves, these native nicknames that go way back, and you ask yourself, how did that happen? Well, you know, when a kid wakes up 4 or 5 years old and he sees a Redskin doll, clothes made at that age, and then it becomes institutionalized in their thinking that, oh, this is all okay. It's because they told me it's okay. A million other people doing this, well, that must be okay. Without knowing the history, that's what you end up with.
For a game between the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys.
It was a ritual every year for my family on the reservation to sit down on Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving dinner, and then watch the Cowboys versus the Redskins on TV. And it wasn't till years later, kind of the blinders were lifted out of my eyes to see what was going on.
Well, it's like, why would we change the color of the sky? You know, I mean, it's something that we don't think that we can change, but we actually have the authority to go ahead and change.
You know, there's not any catchphrase or any marketing gimmick that we can use to overcome this. It's really just taking the time to come to our community or join us in a forum where you feel safe to really make your argument and listen to our counter argument, because I think it's without a doubt the truth. The truth is it's hurtful.
I'm not so easily fooled like I was as a young child. Since that time, our people have arisen and begun to speak and stand up and understand the level of strength and authority that we do have as sovereign nations within this country.
Someday there'll be change, though, and we'll all sit down and celebrate that together as people. Until then, you know, they got to know that this really does hurt. This really does ridicule our people. This really does cause the roots of racism in this country to continue to bury themselves deeper into the fabric of all of our communities.
As the debate around Native mascots continues, be sure to watch Northwest Indian News for updates on this controversial issue. For Northwest Indian News, this is Leandra Smith reporting.
Visit NWIN.TV and check out our updated website. We've added some new features and made it easier to watch NWIN episodes on demand, including the one you've seen today.
And I said, well, but we need to bring light. We need to bring history forward.
You can still watch NWIN and other Native programming at TulalipTV.com. Also, be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and join the NWIN online community. Coming up next, we'll see how a new program at Northwest Indian College has students shooting for the stars.
Our school has no type of engineering program, or no engineering related like classes even. So a lot of this stuff is done on our free time.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in education. In Auburn, the Muckleshoot tribe just opened a new state-of-the-art $40 million school for up to 500 students in grades K through 12.
The tribe has made an investment in the Muckleshoot people, not just into facilities, but into the people to gain an education.
We want our children to be able to succeed in life. We want them to be able to compete with anyone in the world and achieve whatever they need to in their lives.
Hey! Education can end poverty, violence, and health issues on the res. But only 5% of Indians on the reservation can afford to go to college.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in health care. The Jamestown S'Klallam tribe is expanding their health care clinic to meet an ever-growing community need.
Quality health care of our people, of our citizens, Indian and non-Indian alike, is essential for our future.
This new 35,000 square foot clinic will provide medical services and be open to the general public. Tribal governments are investing millions of dollars each year across our state to improve health and dental care in our communities.
That's the bottom line for us, is quality health care.
Welcome back to Northwest Indian News. A new program on the campus of Northwest Indian College is being called the Space Center, and it's got NASA's attention. Students are learning all about aerospace engineering by building and launching their own rockets. The program has grown fast, and now the students are competing on a national level at tournaments around the country. Sherry Macy brings us more.
If you look to the skies near Lummi Reservation, don't be surprised if you see a rocket shooting overhead. The model rockets are part of an extracurricular club known as the Northwest Indian College Space Center, where students are using hands-on science to learn team building and have fun.
The program started with a couple of my students, some water rockets. So we'd launch rockets outside my classroom. Students would gather around it. Custodians would pull them off the roofs of the buildings and stuff for us. And we got an email the last day of the quarter, fall quarter 2009, asking us if we'd be interested in taking part in a First Nations rocket launch, first one. And I emailed back and said, hey, we know nothing about big rockets. We know water rockets, and almost before I sent the send button, I get a response back, not a worry, you guys can figure it out. So we did. I bought 3 rockets. We learned how to build them, what they were about, went to the competition, took second place. And from there, things kind of exploded, and not literally.
The most exciting part is launch day. Recounting everything in your mind, hoping you put everything together correctly. As soon as it goes up is the most exciting part, and then to see the parachutes come out and see it land, you're really proud, and it really brings you together as a team.
This year I built my own rocket from scratch. It was a 3-motor cluster rocket. It was designed to use the central motor to get it off on its initial ascent, and then the 2 outboard motors would ignite mid-flight and take it up to altitude.
All of them come into the rocket program just because it looked like it's fun. They don't come in with all the book learning. What they do is they do the project, and then they want to learn more. Then they start getting the learning. The rocket program, I think, involves just about every science possible, from chemistry to electronics to, physics to everything.
I'm just checking all the wires in the altimeter to make sure that they're all secure. The altimeter will tell us how high the rocket went. It'll also give us flight information. The other vital part is the altimeter will send charge to the black powder charges, which will eject the parachutes.
No power anywhere until the key is in. Put the key in, turn it, and we get a light on, indicates we're at power. And it will not go unless both buttons are held down simultaneously. So I will hold down typically the black one because I'm right-handed, and then when I push the right one down, power goes to the igniters and the motors start. We've gone in the last 5 years NASA competitions that have major engineering universities and colleges involved. MIT, Vanderbilt was one of the last 3 years, North Carolina State, Utah State.
Our school has no type of engineering program or no engineering related like classes even. So a lot of this stuff is done on our free time.
Not having as many resources, we just have to learn how to manipulate things and create things. Our last rocket, we used the top of a bottle lid to create a funnel. Perfect shape, perfect size for what we needed.
Yeah, we made this here. The wire comes from a hairdryer. It's just the heating element inside a hairdryer. And the wire gets hot and cuts the foam.
And a lot of like different kind of universities, they had really high-tech equipment, and Northwest Indian College comes up and they got a quadcopter built out of mousetraps.
Our designs are usually the most simple and like just the most innovative, money-saving designs that you could imagine. They always tell us that that's one thing that they're looking for, because NASA doesn't have like an unlimited budget either.
We haven't ever won, and the likelihood that we will is not real high, but we've placed quite well, and we've defeated major schools.
The possibilities are endless. That's the type of environment we work in, is we're just all encouraging of each other.
I have confidence that my students and myself can do anything. And we do.
This year, 4 students from the Rocket Club are on their way to internships with NASA, working on everything from software engineering to assessing urban climate change. For Northwest Indian News, this is Sherry Macy reporting.
I'm Carissa Peapud-Gobin, and I hope you've enjoyed the stories we brought to you today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Northwest Indian News.